Hi, my name is Paul Orrock. I'm the Technical Director of Digital Craftsman, and I'm here today to talk to you about Cloud Sprawl. So what exactly is Cloud Sprawl? Well, Cloud Sprawl is the uncontrolled proliferation of cloud resources. This ranges from virtual machines, platform as a service offerings like application engines, database instances, and even entire abandoned UAT, test and development environments. There are several ways cloud sprawl can happen. It's usually a natural byproduct of fast organic growth as teams develop new products, get them quickly into production, and then move on to the next requirement. So public cloud as a whole is still a relatively new concept, and the old school policies and controls haven't been able to keep up with the pace of innovation. So now is the time to get redesigned controls back in place to reduce cloud sprawl. According to the RightScale 2019 report on the state of the cloud, optimising against cloud sprawl and cost appeared on more companies' priority lists than anything else. The estimated cloud overspend on the average project is around 40%. So given that the chart that you can see shows that the second highest priority for companies is moving more workloads to the cloud without a proper auditing system with controls in place, then cloud sprawl is only likely to get worse. Also worth noting on this slide is that automated policies for governance only appeared at number 5. And this is the only mention of dealing with security or data integrity risks within these projects. Now this is a major concern given that hackers have shown that servers and data left behind in cloud sprawl are very suitable targets. A 2015 report from Delphix stated that in fact 80% of organisations admitted to using and storing production, that's real, live, unobfuscated customer data in their dev and test environments. And as a side note, even scarier is the finding that a staggering 72% of DevOps leaders noted that development and QA have access to production and that access is not audited. The direct OPEX cost of allowing cloud sprawl pales into insignificance against the cost to reputation and GDPR fines if it's taken advantage of to facilitate a data breach. We've put together a few ideas to help you get back in the driver's seat and get your cloud estate back under control. Security rather than cost should be your first priority, and you start with an audit to find out where your blind spots are. We've seen lots of examples of open doors left by teams moving on, developers not having a security focus, legacy systems left online, and root accounts without two-factor authentication. All of the public cloud providers offer some form of security center which will analyse your cloud infrastructure and show where it doesn't conform to their best practice recommendations. A full review of your current cloud estate will ensure that these areas are looked at. Performance and consolidation. This isn't just about speed, this is also about making sure you have scaled your application infrastructure up or down against its actual usage. Classic examples of this include high specification database instances which were rolled out to cope with an unknown loading at the start of a project, which can now be scaled back to fit the usage pattern. Auto-scaling is another very useful tool, automatically removing and adding resources to an application farm to follow the load pattern. Financial benefits, well, these come from consolidation along with our other areas like looking at reserved or committed instances if you know how long your project is. You may also be able to take advantage of spot markets where you can buy excess capacity at very cheap rates for a short period. Something else to consider is whether there are newer instance types being released, or different specifications of machines or combinations of things you can do that may mean that your infrastructure can become cheaper. Service levels. Well, doing this analysis requires either in-house resources or a higher service level from your cloud partner. You may be able to resource this properly so that it can be done in a timely manner and provide reassurance to you and the board that you're identifying problems and have a resolution plan for them. The team you use needs to be able to understand the whole of your cloud infrastructure and how it fits in with your overall IT system. Monitor as much as possible for better understanding of what's going on, where the problem is, what impact it's having, and how response times can be affected by that. But to do this properly requires an understanding of your entire application stack, how it fits in with the business, what the SLAs should be, what the impact on the application is if this part fails or if that part fails. It's also key for security to get host and network intrusion detection software in place in your cloud environment and to be able to flexibly cope with the current security attacks. Governance is probably the most important thing though, because if you don't have your team's support in understanding why this is important and stick to the controls in place, then you're going to have the same problem year after year. There needs to be a culture of efficient and secure platforms using automated tools as much as possible to avoid human error. This may come at some cost of speed of development, but it is critical to controlling data security and financial costs. So where to start is the biggest question. The answer is to recognise that there are some things you cannot manage because they are outside your control. This includes third-party API endpoints, underlying physical infrastructure, using services like Cloudflare that recently had a big fault for 20 minutes, half an hour. Those kind of things are outside your control. But there are services that you should have control of but don't currently, and those that you do have some control over currently but probably need to physically fully document and to ensure compliance with. So start on those you do have control over to help you build a template of how you should operate these resources securely and efficiently. This working template can then be applied over those you don't have as much control over to bring them into the fold as much as possible. So on this next slide you can see that we have information security analysis. First critical step is to find out what data you have, where it is and who has access. Watch out for typical culprits such as unnecessary or redundant data transmissions. Firewall and security group policies should also be reviewed to ensure that only the right accounts, whether human or application, have access to the environment and its data. Are there old backup files lying around somewhere, including in the dev and UAT environments? Second thing is to use the free tools that are available. Leverage the basic free platform native tools for immediate analysis of security risks, along with cost monitoring, planning. Azure and AWS security centers are great analysis tools and available for free, certainly for the initial assessment and recommendations. Number 3 is design and stick to a tagging plan. Tagging is adding metadata to a resource to be able to understand its purpose. Having a policy of tagging resources ensures that you understand what it's for, where it's used, when it was put in, what cost center it comes under, and helps to future-proof your knowledge base. Use as many tag types as you need to. The more data points, the better. Number 4 is good governance and automation. Agree good governance policies with your teams and apply as many automated controls as possible to avoid human error. 5 is right size resources. Choose the right resource profile, number of CPUs, amount of RAM, network bandwidth, to match the service level expectations. So that's performance, availability, reliability. Pause and subsequently delete unused resources to yield significant savings. When applied consistently across large server groups, this can yield some very big savings. Monitoring tools will give you a good insight into what the actual usage of your resources is and give you some hints on which machines are actually ripe for being deleted or right sized. Are you also using auto scaling correctly? Is it working as expected? Number 6 is choose an appropriate pricing model. Introduce more predictability into your spending patterns by invoking pricing models in conjunction with capacity planning. So reserved instances, for example, over a 1 or 3 year period where usage is known can yield significant cost savings. Number 7 is reclaimed orphaned resources. Review the active resources for each cloud account and delete those that have been orphaned or forgotten. For example, deleting an AWS instance with permanent EBS storage just deletes the instance, not actually the back-end disk, which must be removed separately. So on this next slide you can see that by following our 7-step method to addressing the cloud sprawl problem, you are likely to expand the managed zone by bringing teams and resources into the fold with proper governance, access control, cost control, automation and deployment policies. What was once unmanageable has now been classified as managed, and the SLAs have been updated to allow an external parties to support this. Digital Craftsman's free audit tool takes a first glance at your cloud estate across all 3 public clouds and delivers some upfront recommendations on cost and security improvements, so we are tackling both sides of the cloud sprawl problem. Our team is also able to look much more in depth at exactly how you're utilising your cloud infrastructure today and help you reduce cloud sprawl and its risks.